The beast has always been there. Before kings sat upon thrones, before men carved borders across the land, before even the first fires were lit by human hands, the beast was there. It was not created, nor summoned. It did not arrive on wings or descend from the stars. It simply was, coiled in the marrow of the world, lurking behind the veil of perception, where the wild things roam, shadows stretch, unnaturally long, the beast watches. Kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall. Empires blossom and then decay. Prophets are born and buried, but the beast remains. It is not bound by time, nor the rules of men or gods. It is the undercurrent of chaos, a primal force, older than reason, older even than the stars themselves. In the mist-shrouded epochs, when men first huddled in caves and raised crude idols to incomprehensible powers, man feared the dark, not merely for what it concealed, but for what it revealed. In those times, trembling before flame-lit altars, men whispered of the beast. They gave it many names, stressed its form in the animal shapes they feared most, from the goat-headed Fomorians of Era to the werewolves of Livonia and the blood-slick Rakshasa of ancient India. Every myth of antiquity tells of beings that straddled the line between man and monster, not entirely one, but never quite the other. Half-beasts driven by a natural hunger, walking upright but ruled by the laws of the Fang. Those horrors were not isolated nightmares. They were echoes, distant howls of something deeper, older, and far more terrible than the individual monsters themselves. They were fragments of a greater truth, long buried beneath layers of myth and morality, the path of the beast. As mankind evolved, it built walls, physically, intellectually, and spiritually, to hold back the wildness that once claimed every corner of the world. The words of prophets, scribbled in holy books or etched on tablets of stone, lit a fire in the hearts of men. With this fire came law, and with law, the illusion of order. Cities rose, faiths flourished, morality was standardized. What once was instinct was now heresy, but the beast did not die. No, the path simply retreated, slinking into the dense forests and mountain hollows, the desert places unmarked by maps. And there it festered, and there it remembered. It was kept alive in the minds of those ancient ones who refused to kneel before the God of Abraham, in forgotten rites, in crumbling stone effigies, in the fever dreams of madmen who wandered too deep into the wild, and in certain grim scriptures, buried among revelations and prophecies, the signs were written, that the beast would one day rise again from the land and sea, at a time when the children of Yahweh were drunk on their own power. And then came the Hell Gate. In 1099, when the armies of man bled themselves dry under sun-scorched skies in the name of a holy cause, a deeper evil was unleashed. The Hellmouth, a vast rupture in reality itself, belched smoke and madness into the world. No demons with horns and pitchforks emerged, but something worse. The fumes of the Hellgate did not summon, they awakened. The dormant slumber of the beast was broken. It had been dreaming behind the veil, lulled by millennia of silence, but now, like a wounded predator, stirred by the scent of blood, it rose. And what it saw disgusted it. The world had changed. It was no longer wild. It was no longer a howling place. It was paved, divided, and caged. Humanity had multiplied, like vermin, and had declared dominion over the world. chaining it in morality, in civility, in divine law. Everywhere the beast looked, it saw the works of the hated children of Yahweh. Cities brimming with arrogant priests, armies armed with righteousness, and minds dulled by dogma. But the balance had shifted. The fumes of the Hellgate spread not just disease, but despair. And it was through this miasma that the beast moved like a virus through blood, spreading not in body, but in belief. And from the shadows, its children stirred. There were few, these ancient remnants, the hybrid creatures and half-mad cults that had survived the long silence. But they had not forgotten their purpose. They emerged from the forgotten places, deep within taiga forests, beneath old catacombs, in sinkholes said to be gateways to the underworld. Their goal was not conquest, not at first. Their goal was multiplication. And what fertile ground they found in the hearts of men. The Great War had ravaged civilization. Across the world, trenches ran like festering scars. Shellfire lit the night, and the cries of the dying drowned out the hymns of any god. Men who went to war as believers came back as hollowed husks. The beast found no shortage of despair to feast upon. The grieving, the disillusioned, the addicted, all were ripe for the path. To those numbed by sorrow, the call of the wild seemed not horrifying, but liberating. To forget, to shed shame and guilt, to run with the pack and howl at the moon. Was that not a kind of freedom? And so, the hymns of the feral nymphs began anew. On nights of the full moon, their voices rang out like sirens across the wilderness. Drawn like sleepwalkers, people vanished from villages, cities, and army camps. They went into the wild, dazed and dreaming. Some never returned. Others came back changed, their eyes gleaming with a light not quite human. They spoke of visions, of horns and fire, of forests that breathed and stars that screamed. The seed had been planted. Unlike the other dark powers, the Black Grail of Beelzebub, which took by force, the cruel court, which enslaved the will, the beast seduced. It did not demand supplication. It invited it. It whispered promises of liberation, of transformation, of truth without shame. To follow the path was not merely to disbelieve in God. It was to renounce one's very claim to be made in His image. It was the ultimate heresy, to become not man fallen, but man unmade. And those who accepted His invitation became supplicants. They came from all walks of life, beggars and nobles, deserters and zealots, all cast aside their old selves in the revels of the beast. Stripped naked beneath the trees, they danced in frenzies of blood and lust. Their flesh was marked with bestial runes carved by obsidian knives in sacred patterns known only to the horned priests. These symbols were not mere decoration. They were living things, awakening latent energies within their flesh. When the supplicants gathered in pacts, their runes would pulse and bleed, forming living words of power. When properly organized by a cunning leader, a pact could summon devastating effects, storms of fear, illusions of madness, or bloodlust too potent it defied pain and death. The path is not uniform. There are many trials within its labyrinth, each leading to a different end. Most supplicants lose their humanity piecemeal. Their bodies become half bestial, fur sprouting from backs, claws forming in place of fingers, snouts protruding from jaws. Their minds remain tethered to their former lives only briefly, before unraveling in a rush of blood and moonlight. These half-breeds are plagued by living parasites, oily worms and feathered serpents that squirm within them, feeding them the transformative blood of the beast. But some advanced further. Their rituals, carnage, and ecstatic sacrifices, certain supplicants captured an essence of the beast. These chosen ones embody its avatars: a venomous cobra, a horned stag, a dire wolf, a great boar with tusks like swords. These alpha entities became the center of their packs, surrounded by frenzied followers who would die for a glimpse of their predator god. Villages fall silent overnight. Entire patrols vanish. Trees are found decorated with their remains, bones arranged in symbols no scholars dare decipher. When the path has gathered enough strength in a region, it no longer hides. It wages war. These uprisings are not sustained campaigns like those of the Black Grail or the Sultanate. They are a violent crescendo, wild, unrelenting, and savage. The power of the path waxes and wanes with celestial rhythms. The full moon is their great festival, but eclipses, solstices, and blood tides also unleash their might. In these moments, the forest walks, the mountains bleed, and the path spills forth. And it is not just in the wilderness. No man's land, the accursed stretch between clashing armies, has become a fertile hunting ground for the path. There, among the shell craters and barbed wire, the packs prowl. Not for strategic advantage, but for the thrill of the hunt. They feast not merely on flesh, but on fear, terrorizing both sides of the war indiscriminately. And at the head of these packs are the horned priests. Ancient beyond recognition, these beings have walked the path for centuries, perhaps even millennia. They wear the guise of man, but it is a thin skin stretched over something inhuman. Their wisdom is terrible, and their cunning is deep. More than once they have turned the tide of battle, not by strength, but by guile. Even the most seasoned generals whisper of them in fear, for the priests know the rhythms of war better than any mortal. The legends claim the horned priests are not human at all, that they are descendants of a race older than Adam and Eve, a forgotten line who once ruled the earth before the rise of man. Some say they walked with the beast in a time before time, when creation was still raw and the gods of order had not yet drawn their lines in the sand. Whether true or not, the priests speak of a forbidden wisdom, of knowledge lost in Eden, of truths too wild and terrible for the human soul to contain. They do not seek salvation, they spit upon it, for in the end, the path of the beast is not merely about transformation. It is about a liberation through degeneration. It is a return, not just to nature, but to a nature so primal and unbound it terrifies even those who claim to understand it. To follow the path is to embrace entropy, to dance as Rome burns, to howl as the heavens tremble. It is to say, I am no longer man. I am no longer the image of God. I am the beast. I walk the path, and I am free. So, that was the newest lore drop we received on the Path of the Beast. And I won't lie, Trench Crusade is cooking with these lore drops. I'm really into these. Now, the Path of the Beast has never really been in my top factions of Trench Crusade. Like, it intrigues me the same way a war film intrigues a person. It's brutal, it's dark, and it's gripping. It's an interesting take. And to see that the Beast, the leader of this path, is not like that of Beelzebub or the Demon Lords or Hell's forces. They're their own entity, but different. They're their own force, but they work on the side of evil in this world. I believe that this will be the next faction that's going to get like major focus on them. I believe that's been announced, that these guys are going to be a new and up and coming faction. And I remember from an interview with Thomas that they're going to try for 6 factions to begin with, which would be New Antioch, the Sultanate, Trench Pilgrims, the Black Grail, the Heretic Fleet, and the 7-Headed Serpent. But now that they have those 6 pretty safely established with their own warbands and everything, I believe the Path of the Beast is the next to come. It's going to be the next up-and-coming one. Now, of course, they're going to have other models and lore being made, like for the Irish Rangers, for the Prussian troops, and all these different sub-factions that'll, I assume, be in New Antiochs as foreign forces. But I don't think they'll be getting their own faction. I think the Path of the Beast will. Now, of course, I've been seeing lore and drawings of these guys coming out for a very long time. I'm fairly sure it was one of Mike's first ideas for the world, was to have these sort of Path of the Beast demonic taking creatures. And, of course, he outdoes himself with the artwork. It's spectacular, once again. But I'd like more faithful lore myself. I'm more, interested in New Antioch and Era and Prussia. But I do love a good lore drop for the bad guys. And I think this is definitely going to expand the world in the right direction. It's definitely going to help set a new threat, or a better, more explored threat than just a reference in a few other lore drops. So I'm excited to see what comes. That's about it. I can't really do a section of the video based on the historical similarities, because this doesn't have like Era's video, where it's very similar to the Cromwellian invasions, or Prussia's video where the way they use their army, or the way they could have been formed, relates to history. I just think this is very much a creation of their own world. It doesn't have a real life counterpart. The Beast is, of course, a word often used for Satan or the devil or Lucifer. But clearly in this, it is not one of those, because they are a distinct, separate entity. So it's not like I can explore that. So this is really all I have for you today. It's going to be one of my shorter videos. I look forward to seeing what they're going to drop next, because I feel we're really getting to expand the world now, and it's been a really good time for us Trench Crusade creators, because the excitement is still there, and they've been expanding it very well. Like, they've even set up an ARG on their website trying to open that locked door. What you guys think is behind that door, tell me in the comments. I'm very curious as to hear people's suggestions. I think it's the next faction that's going to be announced, which could be the Path of the Beast, or it could be the Temple of Metamorphosis. They have a thing about doorways, contemplating doorways, so who knows. We'll see what that means, and yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Now, I'm not sure what to do next. I'm going to upload a poll. I might start doing Trench Crusade videos as well as Warhammer videos, like maybe alternate them every now and again, or if there's another world like Forever Winter, or other such grimdark or interesting series that you'd like me to explore, let me know in the comments, because I do love Trench Crusade, but I also would like to explore some of my other interests as well on this channel. So if you would be interested in that, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.